My name is Pooja Pandey, and today I am going to discuss about the topic that is process switching in a subject that is operating system, and its code is BMC 203. Now, these are the topics what I am going to cover. That is your process switching, steps in the process switching, process creation, process termination, and process cooperating versus independent process. So, all these topics we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Then, if we come to the topic that what do you mean by the process switching? We already know that what is process, and now there is a topic that is what is process switching. See, process switching is also called a first thing we have to keep in mind that another name is a context switching for the process switching, and it is an act of CPU switching from one process to the another, and it happened currently running process is paused. It happens when the current process is paused and the CPU switches to the another process. So it happens in the multitasking operating systems, which allows multiple processes to share a single CPU. We in the multi-process operating system, we normally see that many multiple processes are running in the CPU, but behind the scene they are using the concept of the process switching. Process switching, which means that CPU is switching from one process to the another in a frequent time when the current process is paused and the CPU switch to the another process. So this is called as a process switching. Now, when does the process switching happens? Process switching typically happens when the process is running from you see that it is when the process is running to waiting. That is like waiting for the input output, right? Now, when a process moves from running to ready, that is, it is a preempted by a higher priority process, right? Now, it also switches when the process terminates, and if there is an interrupt, the process terminates. So we say that the process has been switched. So basically these three are the types when we find out that our process switching happens. Now, what are the steps? We know that why it is happening and what do you mean by the process switching, but what are the steps in the process switching or the context switching? So actually what happens that we save the state of the current process in the process control block. Every single process has its own PCB, that is your process control process. So the current state of the process, or you can say current process state, has been saved in the PCB. Now when we update the PCB status, like from ready to waiting or waiting to ready, we follow the steps, right? We update the CPU, we update the PCB status. Now, after that, what we do, we select a new process to run from the ready queue as per the scheduling process. That is, we have studied you can say very good amount of the scheduling policies. So as per the scheduling processes, we select the new process to run from the ready queue. Then we load the state of the new process from its PCB into the CPU registers, and we resume the new process where it is left off. So these are the steps in the process switching. Now, diagrammatically, if you see that behind my in my PPT, if you see, there is a picture of CPU switches from process to process, and what I have done, this diagram clearly state how the process switching is done, or how CPU switches from one process to the another. We have taken two processes, right? We have taken two processes, process P0 and process P1, right? Now, this operating system is handling the process of the switching, right? Now, if we see the flow, process P0 is executing, right? And interrupt or a system call happens, and this process P0, when an interrupt or system call happens, this process P0 is saved in the state PCB null, which represent that this PCB is for the P0, right? So PCB not has been P naught has been saved in the PCB naught when the interrupt or system call is happened. After that, process P1, which has been in the idle state, it reload the state from the PCB1 when PCB not has been you can say it has been stopped because of the interrupt or the system call, right? Now P1 is reloaded from the state from the PCB1. Now here if you see, again it is executing, and then an interrupt or the system call happen again. It saved the state P1, right? Another interrupt. Then what happened? Another, if you see the other, this P naught again reloaded from the PCB naught. So with this diagram, you can clearly see that if you see, I say that with these both the state, you see that whenever the process P naught is switching from process to process P1, it switches when an interrupt or the system call happens. So that P naught has been saved into its own PCB, that is process control block, and after that time the P1, which has been sitting idly when the P naught has been running, it reload from the PCB1, and then again if an interrupt or system call is happened, P1 is saved in the again its process control block, and then PCB naught or P1 get activated. So this you can see that our processes is our process is switching from our CPU is switching from one process to the another process, and this is what your process switching. Now again we come on the topic that what do you mean by the process creation. When we talk about the process switching, we should know that what do you mean by the process creation. Whenever a new process is typically created, when a system starts a program. Whenever you starts a new program, your process has been created. Now the running process requests to create a new process. Okay, now running process always requests to create the new process, right? Because the state has been changed. So another process, right? Now when a batch job is initiated, again our process is created. And whenever we double click the program or type a command, or you say in a terminal, or whatever we do as a user command, our process has been created. So these are the 4 types when the process has been created in our operating system. Now the steps in the process creation is that whenever the process has been created, it assign a process ID, a unique process ID. Every process has got its unique process ID. Then we allocate the memory. Then OS allocate the memory for the code section, data section, and heap and the stack. All these OS has to be has to allocate the memory after the unique process ID has been assigned. Now we load the program code into the memory. After all the things has been assigned, we load that program code into the memory, right? And after that, we initialize the process control block, and this process control block contains all these things, that is your process ID, your process state, program counter, and the memory limit, right? Sorry. So individually, every PCB, you should keep in mind that every single process has its own PCB, and every process has got a unique ID, and every PCB are contained of all these points, that is your process ID, your process state, your program counter, and your memory limit of the list, right? Now, after that, what we do that, once everything is set up, the process is moved to the ready queue, right? Whenever all these steps, previous steps, whenever we have completed, our process is moved to the ready queue. Then the scheduler eventually selects the process from the ready queue to execute on the CPU. So it is a work of the scheduler to select the process from the ready queue to execute on the CPU. So these are the steps for the process creation. Now we come on the point that what do you mean by the process termination? When a process is a program, we know that, and that is currently running. Process termination means that stopping the running program permanently. Whenever the program is stopped permanently, we say that process is terminated. Now, process can be terminated because of the following reasons. First one is your normal completion. When a program finishes its work completely, you complete your process is terminated. For example, whenever you close your calculator app after doing the calculation, your program is terminated, right? Your process is terminated. Now, second process is terminated whenever the error is occurred. That means if the program is run into the problem and that cannot be handled, for example, you want to open a file and it does not exit, it means that process is terminated, right? Now, whenever the process it is killed by the another process, for example, when task manager ending a non-responding program, we see that process is terminated. Now, it is killed by itself. It means that process can decide to stop itself. Sometimes the process decide to stop itself. If a program detects a critical error, it might close itself. So that are the reasons why the process is terminated. Now, we come on the point that what is a cooperating process, right? We have studied the process switching. We have studied what are the steps in the process switching, how process is shifted to the CPU, right? How CPU switches from one process to the another process. Then we have studied the process creation. Then we have studied the process termination. Now we are discussing that what do you mean by the cooperating process. Now it is another topic, important topic in the operating system. Whenever we discuss the process, we should know that what do you mean by the cooperating process. So whenever one or more process work together or share the data with each other, we call it as a cooperating process. That means in an operating system, when two or more processes, we should keep in mind that it work together and share the data with each other. When these two properties satisfied, we see that operating two or more processes are in the cooperating process. So they may affect or they can be affected or may not or affected by the other process while executing because they share the work together and they share the data each other. So whatever happened to the one process, if one process is affected, the another process is but obvious it is also affected, right? Now, why do process cooperate? Why it is a needed of the process cooperating? For the first one is for the information sharing. Different processes may need to access or update the same data. That is example two application accessing the same file, right? Now, computation is speed up. For the computation is speed up, a big task can be divided upon among the multiple processes to complete it faster by running them in the parallel, right? We see that in the parallel computing, in the parallel processing, in the scientific computing, we need the shared data and we need the speed should be fast, and the speed can be fast when they share the data, share the resources. That is the what is the main logic of the cooperating system. Now, modularity. A system can be built as a collection of processes, each handling a specific task. For example, a browser process, your rendering process, a network process, they all work together, right? Browser process work together with other processes. So that is a system is built up of the collection of the processes. Now, convenience. In convenience, we can say that process cooperating can simplify complex operation by distributing them across the multiple process, right? For example, the client server system where clients and the servers communicate and you say cooperate with each other. Now, what are the characteristics of the cooperating process? As per the definition, the characteristics of the cooperating process are, first one is that they share the data, either temporary like variables or persistent like on the disk. So they share the data. First point should be that they share the data. Second, they need a mechanism to manage the synchronization and communication. So that's why they use a cooperating process. Now, since their action can affect each other operations because they are dependent on each other, because they are sharing the same data. Now, a question comes that what do you mean by what is the difference between the independent process and the cooperating process? So first we will discuss that what is cooperating process. We have kept in the mind that cooperating process means that sharing the data with the other process, right? While the independent process means that it does not share the data with any other processes. Then cooperating process. It can affect or be affected. It can be affected or be affected by the other processes. While the independent processes, they don't share the process. That's why they are not affected, or you can say they are not affected by the other process. In the cooperating process, we can take an example, right? A text editor and the autosave process, they all share the data. While the standalone calculator app, it does not share data with any other processes, so it is an independent process. So these things are all in my PPT. If I discuss with you all that what we have discussed in this slide, that what do you mean by the process switching, which is also have another name, that is your process, that is your context switching. Now we have discussed that what do you mean by the process creation, what are the steps for the process creation. And in process switching, we have discussed that how how the CPU switches from one process to the another, how the operations are performed in that with diagrammatically also. Then we have discussed that what are the steps behind, what do you mean by the process termination, and what are the steps behind the process termination. Then in the next slide, we have discussed in this presentation that what do you mean by the cooperating process, what are its characteristics, and why it is needed, and what is the difference between the independent process and the cooperating process. Hope you have understand it all, and thank you. I looking forward for the future PPTs. Thank you.